Hey, it's everyone, local Iceman here. Other than the basic ice cuts that are done in between rentals, there's several other additional ice maintenance routines that need to be performed on a regular basis to ensure a safe and level sheet of ice to skate on. I already cover edging and cross-cutting the rink, so for this video I'm going to introduce another ice maintenance routine referred to as figure eights. Alright, figure eights. Figure eights refers to the pattern that's driven on the ice and it's used to shave and level out the corners. So we go ahead and draw a couple of face-off circles here for you. Definitely not to scale. Put a goal line and a crease in there. So how I do it is I come in and I follow the circles when you do a figure eight. We draw my circles a little bit better there. So I come in, I go behind this circle, then in front of this circle, kind of going along the edge of the circles, the face-off circles, and you come back around, and that's your figure eight pattern. And you keep on going, and you go from inside to outside, to inside, to outside, to inside, to outside, and you keep going until you meet up where you started, which is basically the top of the face-off circles, and you're going to end up on the blue line. And that's your basic figure eights, and again, it's used to shave and level out corners. You also do it on the other side of the rink over here. Let me go ahead and draw a couple more face-off circles. And one thing to note too, I do edge and chip and do a 2 times 1 time before I do figure eights or cross cuts. So after I do an edge, I go 1 time around the outside, then I do a half conditioner length out and do another time, either 2 times 1 time, or I do 1 time, 1 time, 1 time, again, each a half conditioner length out. And that kind of gets me out over the crease a little bit, because we do a figure eight, a strict figure eight pattern, there is this little spot here in front of the crease you're not going to get. If I come through here, I have a tough time drawing this, and come and get over the crease, then start in a big long figure eight, even though it doesn't look right. Outside to inside, outside to inside, outside to inside, and keep going back and forth until you meet where you started, and again you're going to end up near the blue line. But I always do an edge and a 2 times 1 time at least. Sometimes I do 1 time, 1 time, 1 time, 3, 2, 1s. It's something I rarely do. I probably should do a separate video on that if you're not sure exactly what I'm talking about. But I always edge and go around the rink, around the outside of the rink a couple times, then 1 pass out, another time around basically, then I go to my figure eights. But if you do your edging and do a few passes around the outside, you will get pretty close out here, so just gonna be aware of this little spot right there you want to get. Alright, so that's your basic figure eight. Not a terribly hard concept to grasp, a little tough to drive on the ice because you're going to a lot of corners, a lot of churns. The machine doesn't churn very well in corners because of the studded tires and a 4-wheel drive. So just take your churns nice and slow. Don't be cranking the wheel over or trying to slide the machine. Again, that's really hard on a machine to make hard churns. Just take it nice and slow and you'll be good to go. Another thing to note is that I tell my drivers, even for basic ice cuts, it's better to overlap a little bit too much so they keep on missing spots. And since you're doing a lot of churns on the rink during the figure eight, there's a lot of blind churns. There's a lot of potential to miss a spot if you're not careful. So it's better to maybe just overlap a little bit too much and do an extra pass or 2 at the end than having to miss spots and kind of going back, because it gets kind of messy at that point. Only few things worth mentioning is that as you're going through the middle of the ice right here, you are overlapping the spot, but your overlap keeps moving out, so I wouldn't be totally worried about raising the blade up. Same thing on the outsides right here. As you overlap to come through, there's a spot you are going to be overlapping, but that overlap point keeps shifting as you shift and move along the figure eight. Not terribly important that you raise the blade up. Just be a little conscious of your thin spots in your ice or high spots in the concrete, as I like to call them at our rink. As well as if your ice is really thin, this is probably something you shouldn't do. Wait till your ice is nice and thick to be able to do something like this, because you are going to lose some ice doing this process. And at the end, I do a regular cut and flood at the end of the process. Other than that, I think I covered everything. Go ahead and comment below on how you do figure eights. No one ever taught me how to do figure eights. It's kind of taught myself. I heard it's something you do. I never seen any videos or read it in any kind of books or done any kind of training on it. So I heard that you do figure eights. I had the figure eight pattern in my mind and I started doing it one day. I might be doing it wrong. I have no clue. But I think I got a pretty good basic idea of how to do figure eight and why you have to do them. But if you have had some additional information you want to throw down, go ahead and put in the comment below. Alright, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to throw some video up of me doing a figure eight so you guys can see how it's done on the ice. Oh shit, you guys are still here? Alright, that's all I have for you guys today. Thanks for watching. As always, hope you learned something. Like the local Iceman says, stay cool.